Can you play games and build a business? We're going to figure out how to do that today. Welcome to Voices on the Wind. I am Toby Lyles and my esteemed son,
Maverick Lyles.
We're excited to have you today on Voices on the Wind, where we figure out how to catch that muse.
Yes, and we have our newsletter where we share a lot of just kind of the fun content we're learning as well as thoughts on the podcast. So if you haven't checked that out, you should. That's votw.substack.com. As well, we want to hear from you. If you guys have anyone you want on the podcast and entrepreneurs doing anything big or small, just please reach out to us on any of our social platforms, and we'd be glad to hear from you.
Hey, thank you. I'm just going to start saying thank you for getting up a little earlier than you normally would.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, a little earlier than we would like to be going.
Yeah, gamers are notoriously nocturnal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is a bit of a miracle that we both made it here today. So your story's fun. We were talking a little bit before at the beginning on how you essentially started in a brand new place and ended up here in a game store. And you just said you're at almost 1 million in sales, correct?
Yeah, for the calendar year. We opened last year, March 1st, so this is our first full calendar year. And I just checked, we're right at 1 million in gross sales so far.
That's a huge thing. It's easy to take quite some time as a new business to get going.
Oh,
so,
you're telling me we did our first month's projections in the first day that we were open.
Wow.
And it went from being okay, this is a cool little side thing. I've got a job. I'll work it a little bit. We'll have like one employee, and to I have a staff of 9 and I work here full time, and we're looking at and it's my full-time career. And it was running so fast that I think I lost 20 pounds trying to keep up. That's how it was, which is a good problem to have. Like not to humble brag, but it's one of those things of you want to be, conservative. You want to be realistic in projections, and you're like, can this work? And you've got all those nerves in your stomach, but when you put your heart and soul into it, I really do believe that if you build it, they will come. And the community has just shown that if you scratch that itch and you do what they need, it snowballs, and then you just got to hang on.
Well, I'm interested in hearing how that happens, because that doesn't happen for every business.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
I feel blessed. I feel sometimes guilty, even a little guilty that we've been successful, because I've seen friends and family go on different capital ventures, and there's so many different struggles, and there's so many variables you don't know. My grandma always used to say, it's better to be lucky than good. And somebody once told me here, actually being in gaming, that skill will take you as far as luck will allow you to go. Huh. And I thought that was pretty good. I think that it's been very serendipitous, right place, right time. And also, you don't realize how many things happen in your life that are preparing you for moments 10, 20, 30 years in the future. The fact that I fell in love and married a beautiful woman who has her MBA. The fact that I worked for a game store, but I've also helped open businesses. When I worked for rentals, I was like family video. I would drive around the country and help open brand new locations. Oh, wow. So learning about build outs, learning about contracts, understanding how things like that work. And it was one of those things that just all these little things over time serendipitously ended up here. And I try every day not to take it for granted.
Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And it's fun how, things we didn't expect would get us here. And you said earlier you didn't even expect to be doing this at this point in your life.
Never. Never in my life did I expect to open a game store. I've always had friends that are like, oh, we should open a game store. Yeah. I think it's called Chairs and Binders. Every card player that has a bunch of binders, some folding tables, and some chairs is like, I have a game store. There's a lot more to a business than really being passionate about your hobbies. There's a fine line of being a big nerd, but also being a businessman. And it really does take a unique blending, and I think I just lucked and stumbled into the right thing for me.
Huh. Well, let's start where you said earlier you got fired.
Yeah.
Let's start at a beautiful spot.
That's a great way to go. So I We originally had moved out here. I was going to school. I got out of school. I graduated with my bachelor's degree, and my wife says, "You better get a job." And so if you've been in Cheyenne long enough, Walmart distribution is always hiring. So I got in at Walmart distribution, picking up and stacking boxes. But my previous experience, my wife and I met at GameStop. We both were store managers. She hates video games, but she just was good at retail. I'm a nerd, so we both got in there in a different way.
Now, is that where you met her?
That's where we met. Oh. We actually were in different store managers. We were in different stores. And then at the beginning of the fiscal year, our districts realigned and we got put together. And so we were just coworkers at a time, and eventually one thing led to another. And then it went from meeting to dating, engaged, married, bing, bang, boom. It was a blur. But when I started at Walmart distribution out here, my background with GameStop also is human resources. I fell in love with HR. One thing about gamers is we love rules. And we like to know the rules for a couple reasons. We don't want to break them, or we want to know where we can bend them. And so I fell in love with human resources. I really fell in love with knowing the rules, knowing the laws, and being able to take care of my team, take care of my staff, and make sure they're protected as well. And so there was a position in HR that opened up at Walmart DC.
Okay.
Got in there, fell in love with it. Eventually, I transitioned to Dish Network.
I'm just going to say, for any audience that doesn't understand, that's the distribution center.
Distribution center.
We're not talking about the capital of the country.
Not the DC. Yeah. Walmart distribution center. We have a grocery distribution here in Cheyenne. It services the entire front range of stores. And so ended up finding an opportunity. Really, I was kind of at a standstill there. And funny story, I was looking for a new car.
Okay.
And I have rather expensive tastes, as some people do. And I'm pretty sure my wife's quote was, "You have Cadillac tastes on a Chevy budget, and I'm not your sugar mama."
Oh.
And so it was one of those, I went out and actually looked and said, here's what my skill set is. What am I actually worth? And found out that I was worth a lot more than I was doing as a clerk.
Okay.
And I applied at Dish Network and had an interview the next day. And so I started working for Dish Network here at the Uplink Center. They actually fly the satellites here in Cheyenne. And I loved it. I eventually moved from supporting the uplinks across the country to supporting customer service. I was supporting about 5,000 employees across the world. Dish Network, as you know, has gone through some turmoil. There's been mergers and stock issues, and ultimately there was a large layoff. And I don't know if it's because I don't live at the corporate office down in Denver or whatever, but my position was axed. And I started looking for a job. Thought it was going to be pretty easy. I knew my skill set. I knew my resume. I'm really good in an interview. All right, I got this. And I had so many opportunities that with different larger companies that I'm not going to name here that I thought were slam dunks. I'm like, oh, this is easy. I'm going to get a call in the next week. I'm going to start work good. Nothing. And I have not gotten an interview. Normally I interview for a job, I get it. So I'm sitting on the couch, I'm depressed, I'm bummed out. I remember I've always bought and sold nerd stuff, even as a kid.
Okay.
Like I was the kid on the playground that was going, hey man, I've got this Transformer, but you've got that new Nintendo game, and worked out a deal, but he wants the G.I. Joe and then the 3. I think I was an entrepreneur at birth. Yeah. Huh. And so I said, I should open a game store. And my wife, without skipping a beat, goes, why don't you? And I'm like, first off, to get that kind of vote of confidence from your spouse is amazing.
Yeah.
Again, as I said, she's got her MBA. She's the smart one. She put us in contact with the SDBC, the Small Business Development Council. We did some market research. We knew there was already some game stores downtown, but there was no retro video game stores. There's no place that really did cards and games the way we did. And we looked into it and we're like, it could be feasible. This could work. And right as we decided, let's go ahead and give this a shot, I got an offer with the Laramie County Library System for their human resources.
Okay.
So ironically enough, I started there and we incorporated this 11 days later. Wow. And people asked, how did you end up doing both? And I don't sleep a lot. That's really what it was. So I ended up getting a job and starting this business idea in the fall of 23. We got the keys to the location. We had a great realtor here in town and found this location. We got the keys on Black Friday.
Okay.
And we could completely renovate this building. We took walls down, paint, floor, the whole nine. And from Black Friday, we opened March 1st.
Okay, so there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, I talk fast, and there's like, hang on.
No, because you get a full-time job.
I have a full-time job.
Yeah, so we're working 8 hours a day.
Yep,
at
40
least.
hours a week.
Yep, and then you're hustling this
Leave
side
there, come here, lay concrete.
and laying concrete. Okay, so let's think about the financial thing because
Okay.
it's not. There needs to be an initial investment before you're.
Yep.
You know, everybody's like, I'll build a business, and then with what money?
We had I had some funds to put in.
Okay.
I honestly cashed out my 401k.
Yeah, okay.
It wasn't huge by any means, but I realized that I can invest in the future. I can invest in myself.
Which is investing in the future.
Right. And so my thought process was, this can be my retirement, and it wasn't a lot.
Okay.
And so it wasn't enough to retire on. But it's like I could leave this as a small nest egg, or I can go, this is my retirement. I'm going to take a shot here. We got one small business loan that was actually through Front Range that was designed specifically for new businesses. It was designed basically to get you on your feet until, because you need to have the property, you need to have the collateral and everything. And it was to get you on your feet until a bank could cover you. It was supposed to be a 5-year term. We paid it off in 8 months.
That's incredible.
So it was.
How'd you find that? How'd you go about? Was that?
Well, it was SBDC and actually Olivia over at A&B Bank here in town is can't plug them enough for small businesses, and being that local feeling bank really went out of her way to find these different opportunities because they couldn't finance us because of the way everything was set up. And we bought our house in 21 right when the market was great. And so there's not a ton of equity yet. And so there wasn't a ton of options. And so they went out of their way to go, what can we do? Like, we believe in you. And what can we do to give you that little jump start, that nitrous? And it was all we needed.
Okay. And then I want to kind of just hone in a little bit on your, so even before you had that, you're finding the money in loans, a couple loans, and a loan and your own personal investment, loan to yourself. What does like calls and connections look like? I'm assuming you didn't know Olivia back. When you start a business, that doesn't. For everybody, that doesn't mean they're fully connected in the environment.
Right.
What is that? How did you go about finding all these resources and knowing even where to look? And
remember,
I'm asking for someone who's like 20 years old and is like, I've got this dream.
I can't stress enough. I was that 20-year-old. I have no idea. I've got a face for radio, but I'm just the loud, charismatic part of Game Masters. My wife was the smart one. She knew about the SDBC.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough how amazing they were.
Okay.
They literally get on a call with you. They walk you through. They did the market research. They came back and said, here's your population. Here's your demographics.
Okay.
Here's how many game stores in the area. Here's what a game store in a population like Cheyenne normally does in revenue.
Okay.
Here's what the normal investment is. Here's a good square footage you might want to look for.
Wow.
So that was, Olivia was through my wife and another business associate who have worked with her. It's one of those things of getting to know people, and I always end up having a guy, I always say it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's one of those things of working at GameStop, opening businesses. That gave me a lot of that. I have a friend who's on the back end who taught me how to play board games and got me into board games. He actually works for one of the major board game distributors out in Chicago.
Okay.
And so I had already a connection, seeing what the back, like the distribution and wholesale side had looked like.
Okay.
So I had a little bit of an idea there.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things of just, okay, who do you know? And then starting reaching out to people of like, you need an electrician. Well, what do you do nowadays? You go on Google, you go on Yelp, you go on Facebook, you go on like Connections, Cheyenne, and you ask around and you get personal recommendations. And so it just happened to be very serendipitous of like, hey, I know a person. Like we were talking about, how do you know Dominic Syracuse? Ran into him because of all the different things downtown. We are just mutual acquaintances that happen to run into each other. And after the 5th or 6th event, you're like, hey, I know you. Oh, yeah, you're in. He ends up at that board game that my friend taught me. Dominic loves that board game.
Oh, okay.
And so we just started chatting. And it's one of those things of, if you're that 20-year-old, there are so many. We didn't have the internet in the 80s and 90s. We didn't have Google, right? We didn't have ChatGPT. if you start looking, the resources are there. Now, it doesn't mean all advice on the internet's good. It doesn't mean everybody's correct. But you can YouTube teach yourself a lot of things. And I think situations very much like this podcast are great resources for people to go, I've got a spark. I've got an idea. But how do I make it into something substantial? And then you find resources like.
So just to summarize what I'm understanding, you get fired, but laid off. You were not fired. You were laid off. You were kindly let go. And then, excuse me. And then because of that, then you start thinking, hey, maybe I'll start a game store. Your wife is on board, which is amazing.
Yeah, and it was actually more, I got laid off. I couldn't find a job. We were looking at moving.
Yeah.
And Cheyenne's home. We've been here for 10 years. Our kids went south. This is home. We love it here. My wife says I can never live away from the mountains ever again. So I was looking in Salt Lake. I was looking in Pittsburgh. I was looking in Charlotte because I was looking for places with more opportunities because I kept striking out. Couldn't figure it out. And then it was a off the cuff, just maybe I should open a game store. And I don't even think she looked up from her phone. She goes, why don't you? And I kind of did the slow, what? And she's like, if you're serious about it, let's do this and this. And I'll tell you, as somebody with ADHD, I say a lot of things and don't often follow through. So I think that was the key. If you're serious about it, and I put the phone call in. And I picked up the phone and they call it the 10,000 pound phone. When you're scared to call somebody, you pick up the phone and you call. Because what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to tell you, hey, go kick rocks, buddy.
Who'd you call first?
SDBC. Okay. And literally, that was it. I said, hey, is this even feasible? And they're like, hey, that's what we're here for. That's why we exist. People don't know. Why it's very Peter Griffin. Why are we not funding this? Like, it's a great resource for everybody. So.
Okay. So your first call was our local small business development center. Who, incredible.
Yep. And they put me in touch with this, that, and the other.
Okay. And then, and so you make that phone call, and they start connecting you with the folks you need. How many? Just give us an estimate. Like, you're done with work. How many phone calls, email, Google search? Like, what kind of, are you spending 30 minutes a night? Are you spending 4 hours a night? Are you sending 3 emails or 40?
You know, you're saying this, and I feel guilty because it's not as many as people think.
Okay.
It really was a little bit of dedicated time every day. We'll say an hour or two at most. It was not a full-time job. I was spending a full-time job trying to find a full-time job. I was still job searching.
It's a lot of work.
LinkedIn and Indeed and resumes and interviews. I was interviewing throughout this whole process. I had a job opportunity in Jackson Hole. It's expensive to move there.
It better pay pretty good.
Yeah. It paid great.
Good.
I would have paid it all in rent. But it was one of those things of like, it was one of those things that was just a little bit here and there. And it was like, I'm pretty sure I just Googled and found some like spreadsheets of like, hey, business projections, and like, and just a form, and just literally pulled up the first thing, and it had things like controllable costs that I wouldn't think of, like marketing and your sign out front and your, insurance, and your licensing and all your different documentation you have to do with the government. I had no idea how to do any of that. So a lot of that was SDBC, asking anybody else around if I knew anybody, and then some Google foo. But I think a little bit of initiative goes a long way. And I think people are more scared of the process and think it's this whole, I've got to be this great entrepreneur, and I've got to be Warren Buffett, and I've got to be Steve Jobs or Elon Musk and have this brilliant idea. No, you find something you're passionate about, make sure it's something other people need or want, and that the market can support it, and then try it. Go out and see what you can do.
That's great advice. Yeah. And I like that you're kind of, I like that you're demoting business owners. We're not all, we're not all Warren Buffett. It's really simple.
No, I am
complex.
I am very, very happy with with what we don't. And honestly, it's better to shoot. What did they say? Shoot for the moon. If you miss, you'll always hit the stars. I'm just trying to I was trying to get to orbit.
Yeah.
I was just trying to breathe, and who would have thought? So it's better to be realistic and go, like, my plan was not to pay my bills and work here full time. I had the full-time job at the library. I loved it. I loved our library system. I love being able to, for the first time I worked for somebody that wasn't a corporation. I didn't work for Dish or Walmart. I wasn't putting money into somebody's pocket. I was supporting our library system, which supports our community. And so everything I did mattered. And so I didn't even worry about taking a paycheck from this. I was just going to put all the money back into it. And it was almost like a fun hobby or a cool investment, and here we are. So
Turned out more than you expected.
yes. And I know not every story is going to be that way. And I've been very fortunate, very blessed, very lucky. But I think a lot of that is you build up what you want. And if you build it, you come, and if you put the work in, you have a much better chance. I think that's where you can't change the way the coin flips, but maybe you can blow a little bit and get it. So
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. Just how they are making their business. It's like it's a business, but it's also just a community place where you do games. And I don't know. There's something about that that's just very, just unique, and I feel like really good for the community. So I was just really excited to see that, and it was a really good episode.
Yeah. Super fun idea. I really like what they did with Game Masters, and it's a great example of someone listening to that voice, taking the leap from a job to a dream.
Yeah.
So if you've not liked, subscribed, and done all that, please do that. And until then, my friends, happy sailing.